Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to play Capitão in Year 7 of Rainbow Six Siege. Alright, so first up, let's go over his loadout. In his loadout, he has his tactical crossbow, which brings 2 fire bolts and 2 smoke bolts. I'll get into how those are used later. Secondly, he has his primary weapons, which come with the choice of the 308 and the M249. So personally, I prefer the M249. Here's why. The 308 and the M249 have the exact same damage. They have the exact same fire rate, except the only difference is the M249 has 100 rounds and his 308 has 30 rounds. Now, the recoil is a lot easier to control on the 308, I'll give it that. But the M249, if you can control its recoil, has 100 rounds and it's a lot better than his 308. That is my personal opinion. I know most people don't actually agree with that and they run his 308 anyways, but I like to run his M249. Not the best weapon in the game, but better than his 308 in my opinion. Personally, I like to run compensator because the X recoil on this gun is a lot to manage. As you can see, if I equip flash hider, the X recoil does get considerably worse, but the Y recoil is a lot better. That doesn't particularly matter to me though, as the Y recoil on this gun isn't as bad. So personally, I run compensator. He comes with the PRB-92 handgun. This thing, obviously, you're just going to put muzzle brake on it. No reason for having a laser really unless you're planning on hip firing. So I wouldn't personally bring it. I don't really know why I have it equipped. But yeah, overall pretty good handgun, 42 damage, 15 bullets. That's pretty much it for the guns. Going into his secondary gadgets, he has a choice between a Claymore and hard breaching charges. Again, dependent on where you're going, I personally bring hard breaching charges 9 times out of 10 because if you really care about your flank enough to bring a Claymore, you can always have somebody watch your flank with a flank drone if one of your teammates are dead. This allows you to get any reinforced walls, any reinforced hatches, so you don't have to bring a Habana, you don't have to bring a Thermite, an Ace, a Maverick, whatever. So yeah, overall bring hard breaching charges 9 times out of 10 and you should be fine. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about with Capitão is his special ability, his crossbow. Now, this crossbow has 2 fire bolts that it can shoot out, and it has 2 smokes that it can shoot out. So, these smokes that he can shoot anywhere at any height. So if I shoot a smoke, let's say at the roof, that smoke is going to stay up there, and it's not going to fall to the ground. But his fire bolts, on the other hand, no matter what height you shoot them, they're always going to fall to the ground, and his flames are just going to be on the floor. So, that's something to keep in mind. First, let's talk about his firebolts. Now, his firebolts, contrary to what you might think, are not meant to actually get kills. His firebolts are meant to clear out defenders from where they're sitting so that you or your teammate can shoot them whenever they're moving. So let me give you an example. Let's say that there's a guy playing rafters, he's playing on ping, and let's say that my teammate's droning garage, and he's like, hey, there's a guy right here. So what I'm going to do, I see that ping, I'm Capitão, I'm going to firebolt him right here, and this firebolt covers most of 90, it covers all of T1. So the defender now has 2 options. He's either A, gonna run all the way down here to the window, or B, he's gonna run all the way down to T1. So what's gonna happen, or sorry, I think I just called this T1, but this is over here T1. It just depends on whatever you play. But he's gonna either run over there, or he's gonna run over here. So what I'm gonna do as a Capitão is I'm gonna say, hey, I'm firebolting the guy on rafters, somebody try to follow up with the kill. So what I'm gonna have is a teammate on window in case he runs this way, or I'm going to have a teammate, let's say like bottom garage on the door, or bottom garage on the stairs, or maybe they opened up the wall like bottom garage here. But either way, I'm going to have teammates that are going to watch for when he moves. So whenever I firebolt him, he runs, I'm sitting here. As soon as I see him get up and run, I shoot him. Or my teammate shoots him, or my teammate down there shoots him, whatever. But it's meant for you to clear out defenders that are in a spot so that they move and you can shoot them, or just to get them out of a spot that you don't want them sitting in. Another good example of this is, let's say they're sitting in a corner on cams, or they're sitting in a place where if you firebolt them and they move, the only place they can move is into your gun. That's a really good way of using his firebolts, but don't try to use his firebolts to get kills. You can use it to get damage or to clear out defenders, but that's really the only viable way that you're going to be able to use his firebolts. Now moving into the next part of his crossbow is going to be his smokes. Now his smokes are a lot larger than normal smokes, but they last like half the time. So keep that in mind whenever you're using them. They don't last very long. But one cool thing about his smokes, like I said earlier, is whatever height that you shoot them at is the height that they're going to stay at, which can be used to make one-way smokes. If you play another video game that has one-way smokes, you know what they are, but in case you don't, let me explain. A one-way smoke is where if you smoke off something, you can see a part of them, but they can't see you because they're in a smoke. So a good example of this is, let's say I'm outside of this wall and I'm about to run into the objective, or I'm about to like wide swing it or something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a smoke right here. And now, I can see anybody that comes through here, but if anybody tries to swing me from right here, and they stand up and they swing me, they can't see. And just for reference, let me actually show you how big these smokes are. It's pretty big. It is bigger than normal smoke grenades, but not too much bigger, so I thought I'd just shed some light on that. But yeah, it's a huge sphere. You can put it anywhere you want to, and it's honestly really, really versatile. Okay, so with Capitão, what role is he? How do you play it in coordination with your team? And what does a normal round with Capitão look like? So with Capitão, he's a flex operator. Some may argue that he's a support operator, but I don't personally agree with that. He just doesn't really sit right with all of the rest of the supports in the game to be called a support, so I think he's a flex. Now, it does depend on if you're bringing hard-breaching charges or not, but 9 times out of 10 you will be bringing those hard-breaching charges. So, map to map, Capitão's playstyle can be different. Let's say you're going for hatches on certain sites, you're going to not be playing with your supports, you're going to be playing with your roamers and roam clearing and trying to get kills. But if you're using those hard-breaching charges on, let's say, a wall, or you're bringing a Claymore, you're going to want to play with your team and use your utility to either clear out defenders so that you can plant, or use those smokes and firebolts for post-plant. These are all extremely viable options, but just make sure that you are playing with somebody and you're not going in the building alone and fragging, because that is not at all what Capitão is meant to do. Before we get into the last tip, I just want to say that 93% of my viewers are not subscribed. If you could subscribe, that would mean a lot to me, and honestly, you can undo it at any time if you want to stop seeing my stuff on your page, and it really does not harm you at all. Going into my next point is how hard is Capitão to play? In the game, they give you a difficulty rating for each operator, which can and can't be correct at some times. In the game, though, Capitão is listed as a 2 out of 3 difficulty, which I do personally agree with. I don't think he's extremely difficult like Ela, but I don't think he's extremely easy like Thermite. I think he's all around pretty average to play, just because of how versatile he can be and the amount of kits you can run and the amount of loadouts that you can have and the amount of things that you can do. There's just so much potential with this operator, and there's such a high skill ceiling that I do think that a 2 out of 3 difficulty rating is perfect for him. With that all out of the way, that's going to be pretty much it for the video. I'm also keeping my promise of if we hit 10 likes on any video, I'll take the hat off and show my bad haircut. So hit the like button below if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike it, and see you in the next one.